Joe Rogan.
Mm-hmm.
He is in the news right now, and I'm gonna read why.
Please do.
So
I am uninformed.
So Joe Rogan, I got to go to my news voice. And if y'all don't know, he just got a deal with Spotify for $100 million. So please tell somebody about this pod. I'd like $100 million. Anyway,
I
or
just want
50
some
million.
of it.
50 million, because Mark is going to get half of that. Joe Rogan is in hot water after video surfaced of him laughing while a friend and fellow comedian, Joey Diaz, spoke about not allowing female comedians to go on stage unless they performed oral sex on him. Joey Diaz quoted, "That's the gateway into Hollywood comedy. Everybody knows that." Joe Rogan replied, "How many girls did you have do that?" He said, "Oh, 20. Diaz responded, and Joe Rogan laughed, threw his head back, and clapped his hands. This clip is from 2011 on an episode of his podcast, The Joe Rogan Experience. This was posted to Twitter Wednesday, but they immediately began making their rounds talking about cancel Joe Rogan.
So 2000 when?
2011. Okay. I'll let you respond to that one first. What do you think?
I think if anybody comes at me for some shit I said in 2011 on a podcast where I'm fucking intentionally joking,
right? Okay.
Fight me.
Just fight you straight up?
I'm not responding. Fight me. Fuck you and fight me. You tuned in. This is an entertainment platform. Yes, we talk spicy. Yes, we get into some heavy shit. Yes, but the intent of all this is to inform, to make people laugh, to have a good fucking time, and to make people fucking think in a way that they haven't thought before. That's why we say this is the podcast for people that don't like podcasts.
Facts.
So if you're coming, if you tune into this shit, knowing what we do, knowing how we get down, just to go back and say, "Oh, well, Marcus called Gabrielle Union a bitch back in episode 2."
Right.
Which I didn't, I don't think. But
if you did.
but this is all a joke. This is sorry, that's wrong. This is not all a joke.
That's wrong.
But this is meant to entertain. This is meant to be funny. I mean, hell, man, we talk about it all the time. I love that we do this because for me, I have a bunch of shit running around in my head.
Yeah.
And this is like therapy, just to fucking work some shit out. And have other people hear my bullshit too, because other people might be thinking the same crazy shit I'm thinking. I might not be that alone.
But not know where to get that out, or even be like, yo, now I feel a little bit validated, whatever. Even if it's an unpopular opinion, everybody's thinking some shit, right? This story was so interesting to me. And you know what it immediately made me think about? Like our episodes like Podsexuals, and where we was like really getting into like certain topics, you know what I'm saying? Harvey Weinstein. That's like them coming up 5 years from now being like, Marcus was defending Harvey Weinstein, which he wasn't.
Right.
But it's not hard to take a 2-hour conversation and cut 45 seconds out of it, upload it to your Twitter, and make it sound like something else.
Go ahead.
Now, in this Joe Rogan example, yes, they were having that conversation, and I think that they was half joking, because anybody that's done comedy, doing comedy, I'm going to tell you, just as much as there's females that get asked to do that inappropriately, there's the same amount of females that will ask to suck dick to get on your show. So, like, let's not act like it don't go both ways. But he's on an entertainment platform. If nobody said anything in 2011 when that shit aired, while he still had hundreds of thousands of followers, now it's in the millions, how come nobody was outraged then? So to me, it's kind of problematic for the simple fact, just so y'all know, this shit is not scripted. Me and Marcus don't sit down beforehand go and be like, "Hey, this is your line." Like,
right.
No. Scene. No, we might have a vague list of topics, but I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't know half the shit on his list to talk about.
No, I don't either. Look at my fucking writing. There's 4 things on here, and we have talked about 2 of them.
I can't read that shit. I can't read that shit. What the? That is terrible. Goddamn second grader.
You rushed me. And
don't blame me.
You are rushing me. Like, hey, man. He's like, let's go. Hold on. Wait a minute. Let me finish writing.
Hey, man. I have my Powerline shirt on, man. I was ready. I don't know. Tevin, get on tour with that shit, man. You pissing me off. So, Nah, but for real, like y'all gotta understand that, like what you're listening to is us having a conversation. Pretend you're in a barbershop. Are you gonna be like, man, I ain't getting my hair cut here no more because y'all was talking spicy
Right.
about
Yeah.
6 months ago? Like, ain't nobody canceling Joe Rogan. Let's say the
Hell
thousand of
nah.
y'all that was pissed off about that conversation from 2011 that didn't know about it until the article got wrote.
Right.
Let's talk about that shit. You're
What
not gonna affect his numbers at all.
two things. The first thing is I listened to Joe's podcast, Joe Rogan, right?
Mm-hmm.
He brought that up. I can't remember the name of the guest he had on, but he brought it up because the guest was like, "Yeah, man, they trying to cancel you and get you out of here. Like, what's going on with that?" He was like, "Man, it's just stupid. Like, what do you want me to do,
That's
man?"
what he did.
He just shrugged it off, like, "Man, what the fuck?" Like, he's like, "Man," because I think they were talking. The conversation was about, do you like how much are you into social media, like reading your Twitter comments, reading your I don't know fucking IG comments, Facebook comments, or whatever. And he's like, "Yeah, man, he's like, I don't really get into it. I don't really talk. I don't really go." He's like, I try to scroll through and see sometimes." He's like, "But I don't reply to anybody. I don't do any of that shit." And the
Yeah.
guy says, "No, how do you? I see you're trying to cancel you. How do you feel about that?" And he's like, "Man, what do you want me to? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not. I don't care. I don't care. I just got $100 million.
Yeah.
Are you serious?" So anyway,
Yeah.
besides that, so this is my question, like to you as a comedian. You see, there's two comics in there having a conversation that happens to be for entertainment. What do you think? Like, how much of that do you think was actually serious about what they're saying to each other?
Do I think he
Two
got?
comics,
Do I
two
think
fucking.
that some females probably sucked his dick to get on stage? Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. And the only
Mm.
reason I say that is because I've seen some of them bookers that do the shit, and
Right.
I'm not saying it's right. Look, let me make that clear because look, this ain't the clip that they gonna pull in 10 years. It's not okay. But
Yeah.
like I said, as many females that might get asked that question, one, you can say no.
Yeah.
Nobody should be putting their hands on you and forcing you to do shit, and then just not to go that avenue into that route. That shit should
Yeah.
not happen. But there's the same amount of females in that game that's like, hey, I'll do it if you'll
What I
let me
gotta
on.
do? What I gotta do?
Let me know what I gotta do. A
Yeah.
lot of them in some of them old cases that have brought down some of these powerful men knew exactly what they were doing at the time and felt bad about it later. That part doesn't get talked about because it sounds bad to say. But I feel like in the conversation that Joe was having on his show, they knew it was an entertainment podcast, and that's some spicy
Yeah.
shit to talk about. What are we doing right now? We're talking about it from 2011. That shit was not, what, almost 10 years ago.
It's just crazy.
And we're still talking about it. So for entertainment value, the shit held up. Will it be appropriate entertainment value in a different world that's 2020 from 2011? Absolutely not. Now it comes off super inappropriate. When people heard it back then, not a peep. So people will wait for your content to be dated and then write some shit about it in a negative light. You know how much music we listened to back in the day that has some lyrics in it that is like, you can't say that shit. Jay-Z used to regularly be like faggot in his music.
I've
You
heard
a faggot taking it backwards. You can't say that
R&B.
now. Old R&B?
I was listening to it's funny you say that because last night I was driving back to my house and I can't remember who fucking sings it, but that "Come on and go with me, come on over them." I'm listening to that shit like, you can't drop this shit. Your ass is grass. You put this song out today? I'm like, man. I know Key and Peele did a sketch about it or a skit or whatever about it. It's cold outside.
Yeah.
Where he was like, no, baby, it's cold outside. No, he tried to get her to stay and all this shit. And she's trying, I got to go away. He's like, nah, bitch.
Nah,
it's cold outside.
You good.
So it's just, I mean, sensibilities change over the years. So the way things change over the years, people that said things back in 2000, 2001 that we didn't know were insensitive, especially being in the military. I mean, we used to say all kinds of wild shit that we didn't know. I mean, we don't do that now because we realize now, like, okay, that's not cool.
It's wrong. Yeah.
And once you get older, you realize, like, okay, yeah, that's wrong. Like, I get it now. Like, I didn't understand now. I was a kid before. But don't come at me for some shit for fucking, 9-10 years ago talking about, man, you said this. I'm like, well, now I'm saying, fuck you. How about that?
Yep.
Write that shit down.
Yeah. So and when I heard like Joe Rogan's response just now, and a part of me was like, is he being insensitive? And the other part was like, no, he's not. What do you want him to do about it? It's out there. It happened. He didn't do anything.
Yeah.
He laughed at somebody else that was like, I got my dick sucked 20 times. That's some funny shit to hear. just as a sentence, a dude just coming in being like, I got, and he didn't say he sexually assaulted any of these women.
Yeah,
that's
true.
the other part, man.
But he wouldn't say that he sexually assaulted them.
No, some dudes is that fucking stupid. But what I'm saying is, what it sounded like to me was, let's say at the worst, what he did was tell them, you're not getting on stage if you don't do this. Yes, that's
Right.
shitty. But from what he's saying, they went ahead and did it.
Choices.
They didn't have to.
I think Joe laughed because I think it was like a joke. I'm a comedian talking to my comedian friend.
It's comedians talking to comedians, man. There's a lot of conversations that like would probably come off inappropriate. One of my homeboys got a joke about asking a dude for $1 million, like it's a bunch of dicks on the wall for, how many of them would you suck? That sort of thing. You know what I'm saying? You get $1 million a dick. And I've seen it. Shout out to my homeboy Derek Murray. I've seen him perform this shit 1,000 times on stage. Every single time he's ever said this joke, dudes in the audience start shouting out all sorts of inappropriate shit in relation to it. But everybody, women included, is laughing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Now, in the wrong context, somebody would probably be offended at that.
Oh, there's somebody going to be out there that's going to be offended about everything.
Right. So if you're sitting there doing a podcast in 2011, it's probably offensive in 2020 with the way things in the world are right now. So you got to take that into account. So yeah, fight Marcus. If y'all pop up with on episode 3, he was, like, he
was shitting on Harriet.
Yeah. Oh man, a lot of people agree with you on the Harriet shit. Now I think about it, like people. This is the other part that I want to bring up about that whole like 2011 shit. There might be somebody that just heard that podcast episode. Like, we're recording it week to week. I like to think y'all are listening the week we recorded, but I know that's not the reality. There's a lot of people that listen to this podcast. It's like, yeah, man, I listen to it. I don't have the time because it's long shows. I'm only on episode 6. I'm on episode 7. I'm cool with that. Thank you for enjoying us and picking up the show.
That's right.
But if you go back and hear episode 3 when we're on episode 50,
yeah,
we might have even changed the way we feel about some shit, because all of this is learning. Keep that,
man.
So for me, if you pop up and be like, man, I heard what y'all said on episode 3, I'll be like, all right, cool, catch up. If you still feel away when you get to the episode we're on now, then we can have a conversation, because you've heard the whole story, right? But build on it. But don't just listen to the one part that offended you and be like, oh, y'all just y'all some hurt niggas, y'all this and that, and just form your opinion off of that. I don't want to hear it. I'm not even gonna listen to you.
I am hurt. For anybody listening,
shut up. Stupid ass. Hey man, what else you got? You got anything else you want to get to this week, man?
We'll get to it next week, man. It's always another week, dog.
It's always another week, man. 20 episode 20versary. Yeah. I don't know.
20versary. I like it.
Maybe we can get Congress to call it 20th or something. Like, this is the national anniversary of the Legal Opinions podcast.
Hey, you guys got to write our congressman, man.
Yeah, that's right. I was asking for $100 million while we at it, man. I ain't had my dick sucked at the show, so I don't know.